What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. If you're watching this, congratulations, you survived 2015 and welcome to 2016. This year I wanted to start a series where I highlight some of the albums that are coming out, each month. Starting with January, of course. This month is not, very big. And I also got to stress that I'm not throwing in mixtapes unless, it's a big mixtape that has a release date at the beginning of the month. Or, I can't keep track of surprise albums. So, the 5 albums that I'm going to talk about today, they're not limited to, what's coming out in January. These are just the ones that have, a traditional release date. And I'm going to start it off with Anderson .Paak's Malibu. It drops January 15th. He's put out 3 singles so far. He put out The Season / Carry Me and Am I Wrong featuring Schoolboy Q, Room in Here featuring The Game and Sonia Elise. And those 3 singles, I'm listening to them. I'm not a big single person. I like to listen to an entire album, so I listen to a single once. But I found myself going back to these singles several times. They're catchy, very melodic, and I think Anderson .Paak's going to create another great body of work following, such a huge 2015. Obviously, the Dr. Dre co-sign on his album. And, he had the 2 EPs, the NX Worries, and then the Blended Babies. And going back even further, he had Venice. If you're waiting on the album like I am, I highly suggest going back to listen to Venice. It's another good body of work. And I think it'll get you prepared for Malibu, because Malibu's Venice and Malibu are kind of interlocked in a way, as far as just being different places, I guess. Not musically, it's not like a story where it continues, but Malibu out January 15th. Another one that's coming out January 15th is Snoop Dogg and Daz Dillinger's Cousins album. I'm surprised that they're finally doing an album together. I know, the Dog Pound, Snoop has always been an honorary member. It's always been Daz and Corrupt, and then Snoop would be, there all the time. But the fact that, Snoop and Daz, who are real life cousins, are finally doing an album together is kind of interesting. I wonder, what sparked the idea. Snoop is always working. Last year he put out Bush. I think he dropped a couple mixtapes. He doesn't get credit for his work ethic. But I'm looking forward to seeing what, Snoop and Daz can come up with. They don't have too many guest features. It's Corrupt, it's Damn Funk, and, there's a couple other smaller names. And so far they put out 3 singles. They have Best Friend, they have Show You Right, which is produced by Damn Funk, and I like it because it's groovy. And the other single they put out, which was over a year ago actually, or about a year ago, was Will Miss You. It was a tribute to Snoop's uncle Junebug, and that's going to be on the album as well. So I'm looking forward to Cousins on January 15th. Going to the next week, Tank, R&B singer Tank, is coming back with Sex, Love, and Pain 2. I'm not a big Tank fan. I've never listened to a Tank solo album before, but I want to check this out because I liked his performance on TGT's album. And I'm sure he's a good artist. Obviously after hearing the TGT album, it convinced me. So I'm looking forward to hearing what his solo projects sound like. And I checked out the singles. He has You Don't Know featuring Wale. He has Better For You. And he has Already In Love featuring Sean Stockman. And out of those 3, I think Better For You is the standout for me. It's very, I don't know, it's like a 90s R&B type of record, It sounds like it's suspended in time. It's one of those records where, he's crying and not crying, but all emotional. And it just stood out to me out of the 3. So Sex, Love, Pain 2 drops January 22nd. And on that same day as well, through Atlantic Records also, Tank is Atlantic Records, and Skizzy Mars is also Atlantic Records. He's dropping Alone Together, and he has the 2 singles, Crash featuring Pell, and then Alcoholics. Skizzy Mars had a really good year. He went on tour. He dropped the Red Balloon Project EP. I like that one a lot. I bought it, and I'm gonna buy that album as well. And there's no notable guest features on this besides Pell, who's kind of underground, and then Rome Fortune, who you know he's also underground, but he has more of a name. I feel like, at least in like the hip hop circles that I roll with and talk to, people know who Rome Fortune is over maybe a Skizzy Mars. Skizzy Mars flies very well under the radar, but he has such a huge fan base that I think his album is gonna sell well. Hopefully, I hope his fans come together, and I think it's gonna surprise some people. People are gonna like see him do some really good numbers, and from there people are gonna be like, who's this dude that's doing 30,000 or 40,000? I think he can do between 30 and 40,000. Um, Obviously, I mean, you look at his SoundCloud numbers, you look at his Twitter followers, and obviously you can't make the correlation between those two that translates into album sales. But you look at someone like Skizzy Mars, he has a very loyal fan base. It's kind of like like a Logic type. Logic has fans that are gonna go out and support him very well. So I think Skizzy, has that to a lesser extent. And I'm looking forward to January 22nd for Alone Together. And our last album is Kevin Gates' Isla, his debut album. It was supposed to come out in December 11th, but it got pushed back. And I'm glad it got pushed back, but at the same time, I don't know if I see the reason. The reason I thought it would be pushed back is because this is a debut album. It's not just a mixtape or something of that nature. It's an actual debut album. So I was hoping Kevin Gates would get a bigger push than like the Luca Brasi story too. And that's really what it felt like. He drops singles, they get views, and then he drops a project. But I feel like for the debut album, and maybe he doesn't have like a hit single or radio single or something of that nature, but I feel like he deserves more promotion than he's gotten in the past, especially because it's his debut album. It's named after his daughter. Wanted to throw that little fact in there. And there's 5 singles out right now, which is, I don't know, it's not a good sign. When you have to throw out 5 singles and your album's still not coming out for like another month, it's not a good sign. I mean, Ty Dolla $ign was doing that, and we see how well he sold, or not well. He didn't sell well at all. We saw how much he sold, and I feel like Kevin Gates is kind of on that path where he's not gonna sell anything substantial to where like it's out of the norm. Luca Brasi Story 2. Stranger Than Fiction. These are albums that we're kind of building to this moment, and I think maybe he'll sell more than those projects in particular, but I don't think it'll be much more. You'll see like a little bit of growth, but it's not going to be like a huge jump, and I think that's what your debut album should be. And I don't know. So I don't know. I think the singles that are out, Two Phones, Really Really, La Familia, The Truth, No One, I think they're all pretty good singles, but we'll see how the album, the promotion, that's my main criticism so far. But I'm definitely looking forward to Kevin Gates' debut album, Isla. I'm a huge Kevin Gates fan, if you haven't guessed it already. And I'm looking forward to these 5 releases in January of 2016. And I would love to know what your thoughts are. Are you looking forward to any of these releases? Have I convinced you to check out any of these artists that are coming out? Let me know in the comment section below. And then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter at SermonsDomain. As always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.